You didn't come this far just to survive. You didn't wake up today just to repeat yesterday. And you sure as hell weren't born just to play small, stay quiet, and live a life that feels tolerable instead of extraordinary. Because deep down, whether you admit it or not, there is a fire inside you that refuses to go out, a voice that whispers late at night asking, is this really all I'm capable of? And that voice is not your enemy, it's your calling. It's the reminder that you were designed for more than excuses, more than fear, more than waiting for the perfect moment that will never come. The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. They fail because they never raise the standard of what they demand from themselves. They negotiate with their fear. They settle into comfort, and they confuse familiarity with safety. But let me tell you something right now. Comfort is the most dangerous place you can live because it slowly kills your dreams while convincing you that. You're being realistic. And realism without vision is just a beautifully decorated prison. Look at your life right now, not with judgment, but with brutal honesty. Your habits, your routines, the way you talk to yourself when things get hard, the standards. You accept in your relationships, your finances, your health. Because everything you have today is a direct reflection of what you've tolerated, not what you deserve. And the moment you truly understand that, the moment you stop blaming the past, the economy, your parents, your circumstances, or your age, is the moment your power comes back into your hands, because you are not controlled by what happens to you. You are controlled by the meaning you give it, and meaning is something you can change in an instant if you decide to. Most people think change is hard, but that's a lie. Change is instant. What takes time is indecision. What drains you is hesitation. What exhausts your soul is knowing what you should do and refusing to do it day after day until your confidence erodes and your identity shrinks. Because every time you break a promise to yourself, you teach your nervous system that your word doesn't matter. And every time you keep a promise, no matter how small, you rebuild the muscle of certainty, and certainty is the foundation of momentum. Understand this, your life is not shaped by what you want, it's shaped by what you do consistently, especially when you don't feel like it, especially when no one is watching, especially when quitting would be easier than pushing forward, because motivation is not something you wait for. It's something you generate through action, and action comes from decision, not mood. If you're waiting to feel ready, confident, or fearless, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Because courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision that something else matters more than fear. And right now, what should matter more is the fact that time is moving whether you move or not. Days are passing whether you grow or not. And one day you will look back at this moment and realize it was either the turning point where you decided to rise, or just another excuse-filled chapter you wish you could rewrite. Hear me clearly, you don't need a new life. You need a new identity, because behavior follows identity, and identity follows the story you tell yourself about who you are, what you're capable of, and what you're willing to endure. And if the story you're telling yourself is that you're tired, unlucky, behind, or broken, your nervous system will do everything it can to prove that story right. But if you change the story, if you decide that you are the kind of person who finishes what they start, who does what's hard now so life can be easy later, who refuses to let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions, then everything begins to shift. Not magically, but mechanically, because your focus changes, your energy changes, your physiology NGEs. And when your body changes, your mind follows. Stand up straight, breathe deeper, lift your chest, because the way you use your body determines the way you use your mind. And most people are exhausted not because life is too demanding, but because they are living in a constant state of internal conflict, wanting more but settling for less, dreaming big but acting small, knowing the truth but avoiding it, and that internal conflict drains more energy than hard work ever will. Let me ask you something that may make you uncomfortable. What are you pretending not to know? What decision are you avoiding? What conversation are you delaying? What habit are you defending even though it's destroying your potential? Because the quality of your life is directly proportional to the quality of the questions you ask yourself. And if you keep asking, why is this happening to me? You'll stay stuck. But if you ask, what is this trying to teach me and how can I use this? You reclaim control, and control is the ultimate human need. Control over your focus, your meaning, and your actions. Understand this as well. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your teacher, because pain demands change, while comfort whispers lies that keep you exactly where you are. And the most painful thing you can experience is not failure, rejection, or struggle, but regret. The regret of knowing you had more in you and never gave it a chance to come out. The regret of playing small so others could feel comfortable. The regret of choosing short-term relief over long-term fulfillment. You were not designed to live for weekends, paychecks, or approval. You were designed to grow, contribute, and become And growth requires pressure, contribution requires courage, and becoming requires you to let go of the old version of yourself that feels familiar but no longer serves you. Today is not about hype, it's about truth. And the truth is this: no one is coming to save you, and that's not a threat. It's the greatest gift you'll ever receive, because the moment you stop waiting for someone else to fix your life is the moment you realize you have the power to do it yourself. And power comes from responsibility, not excuses. You don't have to see the entire path. You just have to take the next step with certainty, because clarity follows action, not the other way around. And momentum is built by movement, not thinking, not planning, not hoping, but moving imperfectly, consistently, relentlessly. Decide today that you will no longer live at the mercy of your moods, your past, or other people's expectations. Decide that you will raise your standards, because when you raise your standards, your behavior rises to meet them, your results rise to reflect them, and your identity rises to embody them. And once that happens, there is no force on earth that can stop you except you. Written as the final closing movement of the full motivational work. This is where everything becomes real. Because at the end of the day, your life is not shaped by what you know, what you want, or what you talk about. Your life is shaped by the commitments you keep when no one is watching. Anyone can feel strong when the energy is high. Anyone can feel inspired when the words sound powerful and the moment feels right. But transformation doesn't happen in those moments. Transformation happens in the quiet moments, the moments when you're tired, the moments when you're frustrated, the moments when the old habits, the old fears, the old version of you comes back asking for control again. That's where destiny is decided, not on your best day, but on the days when quitting would feel easy, familiar, even justified. Most people wait for motivation. They wait for confidence. They wait for clarity. They wait for life to give them a sign. But here's the truth that separates the few who rise from the many who stay stuck. Conditions do not create commitment. Commitment creates conditions. The people who change their lives don't wait for certainty, they move without it. They don't wait for permission, they give it to themselves. They don't wait for life to get easier, they become stronger. And the moment you commit at that level, fully, emotionally, without escape routes, something inside you shifts. Excuses lose their power. Fear loses its voice. The past loses its grip. And your future starts responding to you instead of the other way around. Understand this deeply. Your future is not something you find. It is something you build. It is built through daily choices, through repeated behaviors, through standards you refuse to negotiate. Vision is not a fantasy. Vision is not wishful thinking. Vision is a demand you place on yourself. When your vision is clear, your decisions become simple. You stop drifting. You stop reacting. You stop living at the mercy of moods and circumstances. You start living by design. You move with intention. You act in alignment with who you decide to become, not who you used to be. But vision alone is not enough. Commitment alone is not enough. What changes everything is when commitment becomes identity. When keeping your word to yourself is no longer something you try to do, it's who you are. The most important promise you will ever make is not to other people. It's the promise you make to yourself that says, when I say I will do something, I follow through. Because once you trust yourself, once you know you won't abandon yourself when things get hard, confidence becomes unshakable. Not because you believe you'll win every time, but because you know you'll never quit on yourself. Most people don't lack ability, they lack self-trust. They've broken too many promises to themselves. They've said, I'll start tomorrow too many times. And every time they didn't follow through, their nervous system learned a dangerous lesson. My word doesn't matter. That's where doubt is born. That's where hesitation lives. But the reverse is also true. Every time you do what you said you would do, especially when it's uncomfortable, you rebuild trust. You rebuild certainty. You rebuild power. And power compounds. This is why discipline is freedom. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect in action. It's choosing growth over comfort, purpose over pleasure, long-term fulfillment over short-term relief. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, it will challenge you. But discomfort is not danger, it's expansion. Every time you step through discomfort, your identity grows. And when identity grows, behavior follows automatically. Here's what you must remember. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. When life gets stressful, you don't suddenly become your best self. You revert to who you've trained yourself to be. That's why standards matter more than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Standards endure. Standards decide what you tolerate, what you walk away from, what you commit to, and what you refuse to accept in your life. When your standards rise, your life rises with them. Not instantly, but inevitably, there will be moments when the old version of you tries to come back. When doubt whispers, who do you think you are? When fatigue says, you've done enough. When fear says, what if you fail? And in those moments, you must remember this: the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. Every action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every disciplined choice is a vote for strength. Every excuse is a vote for stagnation. And eventually those votes become your identity. You don't need to see the entire path. You don't need guarantees. You don't need perfect conditions. All you need is the willingness to take the next step with certainty. Momentum favors the committed. Life responds to those who move with conviction. When you show up fully, consistently, relentlessly, confidence compounds, strength multiplies, and opportunities appear. Not because the world changes, but because you do, and here is the final truth. The moment you stop breaking promises to yourself, you become unstoppable. Because at that point, you are no longer fighting yourself. Your mind, body, and emotions are moving in the same direction. There is no sabotage, no hesitation, no divided energy, just forward motion, just growth, just power. So decide right now that this is the chapter where everything changes. Raise your standards, honor your commitments, protect your vision, demand more from yourself, not because you're not enough, but because you are capable of more. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need validation. You need commitment. And once commitment becomes who you are, nothing can stop you. This is not the end of the script. This is the beginning of your execution.